Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me today is
Big Josh.
and we are here to give you a quick review on Marvel Zombies. Yeah, we finally saw it. I think we're gonna start a whole series just talking about we finally watched it. Because like everyone was like, "Yo, did you watch Marvel Zombies?" I'm like, "I'll get to it eventually," and I'm like, whatever,
At
whatever.
some point.
But also we're also gonna do a little bit more of these, so that it might be all four of us, might be two of us, or maybe it might be one of us. But because there's so much stuff that's out there, which is a good thing. There's like actually some good stuff to watch, but we might not all watch it, or we might not have interest. Like D'Angelo is not watching Marvel Zombies. Just I'm just gonna put it out there. He's like, I'm good. Why am I gonna watch? Like he has a whole rant about it. So Josh and I, being the Marvel aficionados, we jumped in, watched it, and wanted to give a quick take on it and what we thought. And but yeah, look for more of these. Of we're still working. It's a working title. We finally watched it, or we something to that effect. But yeah, that's what it is. So with that ado, we're talking about Marvel Zombies. Josh, how did you like it?
I thought it was fine. On a scale of fine, good, very good, and excellent, it was fine. Yeah, I think they took some big swings. I like the animation. They refined the animation process a bit. Um, so it looks pretty good. I thought the story was kind of wild. I think they are doing interesting things with how they sort of reshape and mold the sort of reimagined Marvel universe where the zombies are concerned. Um yeah, I thought it was fine. It wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't bad. It was a good story. I think what they did with the Hulk was pretty good. With him sort of absorbing the Infinity Stones, um, and being sort of this crazy nexus of universal power. Wanda becoming self-aware, like not just being random zombie number 12. I thought that was a pretty good look. Uh, I was sad that Clint got zombified because he wasn't by the end, if I remember correctly, by the end of the Marvel Zombies movie. I don't think he
Yeah,
was.
yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah, so that made me sad. um, it's a little weird that he retains his marksmanship prowess as a zombie,
Yeah,
but
there was a
okay, I'll
couple
allow it.
things. Yeah, there was a couple inconsistencies around that where like some people did, some people didn't. Like it was just a weird. That was one thing that kind of stood out to me. But I'll let you finish up like before I
Yeah,
get
that's
to
pretty much
mine.
it.
Yeah, I would say like it was better than I thought it was gonna be. Did we need it? No. But they at least put effort into it. Like voice casting was awesome. It was great to hear Baron Zemo's voice again, just because like the fact that they haven't used this dude in 10 years is now it's annoying. Like it's just stupid at this point. Like he was literally one of the best villains on the last 20 years of this MCU, and they have not done nothing with him. And I'm like, even in Marvel Zombies, it showed like he was great in it. It was fun, like his little bits and stuff, and like how he was like devious was great. So I would say like the best parts about the show were definitely about the voice casting. I'm glad that they actually got people back to do stuff.
Absolutely.
You can tell everyone had fun doing it, and that part was cool. The yeah, animation wise too, I'm not the biggest fan of their toon shading 3D animated type stuff,
No,
but it's grown on me
but
now
it's
that it's not
getting better.
annoying. Yeah, exactly. Like it's to a point now where like it feels better. So that's why I didn't annoy me anymore. But like story wise and everything else was really cool. I think it was a cheap trick to bring Blade in as freaking Moon Knight Blade. Like I was a little annoyed about that. It was cool that he was there, and I think once I saw Blade and kind of introduced and that kind of stuff, then by the end of the show, I'm glad that the voice actors were there, but what they probably could
Hmm.
have done and probably got more mileage of, they could have just made an anthology series of
Yeah.
8 episodes or 6 episodes with all the voice acting, and then just put it in the main continuity. Because like that's one of these big gripes about What If and Marvel Zombies. It's like none of this matters, and so it's like it's cool that that it's there. Oh, there's zombies, blah 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 blah, but like none of it really
Right.
matters. And so it's like you're doing this cool thing, but doesn't really add anything to the main story. And uh DC does this way better with Deceased,
Mm,
which is a phenomenal story and super duper interesting. Even the way it wraps up is awesome.
mm.
But like it's just a better the reasoning behind DC's Deceased is just better than what is in Marvel Zombies. Like Marvel Zombies, they give you kind of a little bit of basic zombiness, da 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 da. DC is just like, oh, the anti-life equation gets corrupted, and it infects Darkseid, and then Darkseid infects everybody, and then it gets to Cyborg gets to the Earth and affects the whole Earth and superheroes, and then goes from there. Insane. So you get to see a zombie of
Wow.
literally every single character, and then they have to figure out, like, zombie Wonder Woman, zombie Soups. Like, it's, Batman gets killed early, and then Damian becomes Batman. Like, they just do so many things in it where you're like, okay, this is dope, and they invest in it to the point where the stories become super super interesting. And like, I'm not even a zombie person, but I was going through DC's Deceased, like, oh, this is great. And then they did a whole they did a whole spinoff with the villains, and a bunch of the villains got together because they were like, okay, we ain't trying to get killed by zombie Wonder Woman, so we'll just lay low. Then they see some kids, rescue the kids, and then they get pulled into the whole zombie news. And so it's things like that where you're like, dude, this is how you do a cool elsewhere type of story in a way that makes better.
There's a better cause and effect there just based on what you described. Like this happened, then this happened, and because this happened, that happened. And
yep, exactly.
And Marvel Zombies does not have that.
Yeah, and now they did a good job of, like, one, it was fun to see how people got killed. That was actually pretty funny. Jimmy Woo and freaking and like different people, so that was cool.
Sure.
I think it was a misuse of Riri and Kate Bishop, just because, like, they're cool characters, and if them three and with Miss Marvel would have just done that, it was them three for the whole thing, would have been super fun.
I agree.
I think that's what as I was watching these little vignettes, I was like, man, I actually would have just liked Riri, Kate Bishop, and Miss Marvel in one episode, just them going on an adventure. That would have been fun. The dynamic was good.
Or making them the focal point of the whole thing.
Yeah, like, it would just been cooler. And then same thing with Blade, right? They just tease us with that. We're like, just give me a whole episode of Blade. If Blade's in the MCU killing a bunch of vampires, runs across freaking Daredevil or like Captain America or just one character, then it's just like, okay, cool. We know he's exists in the world. Probably Punisher, because that'd be more fun because they could kill a bunch of people. But that would just be more fun, and it would actually make sense.
Or do it the way that they did What If, where, like, all right, you have this episode that's about this episode that's about that, and keep going, and then it all comes together at the end.
Yep.
That would have made more sense.
Yeah, that would have been really, really cool. A good use of the characters. I mean, but for what we actually got, like you said, it wasn't bad. Like, I wouldn't like recommend it to people, but I wouldn't not recommend it. I'm like, yo, if you have time and you got nothing else to watch, sure, totally good to watch. But is it like a must see, or just go see it right now? Like, I don't know about all that. They did a good job. Like you said, like taking really, really big swings with a depressed Thor, Infinity Stone, charged up Hulk. That was cool. Wanda being smart now to be able to do certain things, which is cool too. Even freaking Red Guardian fighting a zombie Cap, that was fun. And then David Harbour, because David Harbour's great, so it doesn't matter what he's in. So he's just like, he enjoys being Red Guardian so much that he will literally do anything, and you can tell because he was having a blast. And I think that's the thing that I did like it overall, was all the voice casting. You can tell that everyone was having fun. And even if it was only for a short period of time, they hopped in, they had a blast, they were doing their thing, and then they hopped out. And so, if nothing else, they did a good job of just like at least keeping that feel to it, so that when you got to the end, it felt like a nice, satisfying thing, and you actually got to see a little bit more of like the naivete of Miss Marvel, which is great because that's kind of the core of her character, where like she still believes in like optimism and hope and all that. And even in a zombie world, she's still like, wait, so this was all for nothing? Like, no, it has to be meant to be something. So I like that they kept that theme going through and giving you that case where it develops her character even more. Say if you watch the show or you didn't watch the show or her show, or if you watch the Marvels and you got a little bit more of Miss Marvel, which again, the younger kids in the MCU are the more fun ones now because they still want to be there. And I think that's the part that you can tell, even with Riri, even with Kate Bishop, like you can tell they actually like this job and they want to be there. So hopefully they utilize them better.
Yeah, I agree. And in particular, I forget the actress's name who plays Miss Marvel.
Imani
Vellani.
Yep, Vellani. Yep.
Yeah, she is super into it, and the level to which she's into it is super infectious. Like the whole story of her reading Miss Marvel as a comic book way before she even decided she wanted to get into acting or auditioned for the role. Like she's about it. And
Yep.
I wish that Marvel, on a broader scale, I wish Marvel would sort of seize on that. There are actors who read comic books, who have read comic
Yeah.
books way before any interest in getting into the MCU. There are writers who definitely read comics. And
Mhm.
this weird obsession with, we got to hit it fresh. You can't know anything. We prefer that you not read anything about the comic book, or be familiar with it, so that you can have a fresh take on it. Just doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. Like, you want someone who has their own take on deep lore. Like, I feel like if you know more, this idea that you shouldn't be familiar with it is what produces the Bryan Singers of the world. And
Yeah.
that's not.
Yeah.
So that's one. Two, like, you seize on the enthusiasm. You see how enthusiastic this chick is. Like, she's really about it. Like, she's
Mhm.
really about it in a different type of way from any. Forget her youthful enthusiasm. That aside, she's just really into the role. She's really into the character, and it shows, because she's been reading this thing since she was a teenager, which arguably wasn't that long ago. But still, like, she's there's an attachment that, and I feel like we all have that. There's an attachment that you and I have to X-Men that that very few other people have.
Yeah.
There's an attachment to the Avengers. There's an attachment to the titles that we like, and the characters in those titles, that fuels a certain level of, I don't want to say obsession, but like, there's a certain level of there's a drive to be more familiar, and to learn more, and to absorb as much information as possible about the thing that we like. And if someone were to drop us into, okay, so you gotta write an X-Men script, word. Like, you and I would murder, like, and I don't mean to big us up just on some random, but like, the between you and between what I know of old and what you know of more recent and new, oh my god, I don't even want to consider. And then D'Angelo refining that in the middle of all of that. Oh.
Yeah. And honestly, that's how some of their best writers came from, right? They were nerds that were just
Yes.
super into it, get on it. That's how, our man Donnie Cates got into it. He was a comic book shop owner, and then just started writing his own stuff, and then he got the attention of everyone. So and not to discredit, Marvel Zombies was the basis of the story was made by Zeb Wells,
Mm,
writer in Marvel. He did Spider-Man Brand New Day. He did a bunch of stuff on X-Men. So like I can tell that this felt like a comic book. That's why I liked about
mhm,
it. That's probably the better parts. But like you're right. I think the for the MCU, they try to stay away from all the nerds for some strange reason, where DC will kind of like dive into it. And I think that's what's been holding them back, especially in this last phase of MCU, where it's like,
agreed.
yo, man, you have like when I was at Marvel, I was only there for 3 years, but the thing was most interesting was just like Marvel Comics is your incubator. You can literally pick and choose what you want to put on the screen. So when we get our, Asian Hulk from Amadeus Cho, or we get like, Daphne Keene as X-23, which we knew was coming, but I'm glad they did that. But all these things kind of add up, and we're like, yo, man, you already have all the stories. Just pick and choose what you want instead of trying to shoehorn things that just don't work. And so I think that's the part where they're kind of struggling. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, I'm glad we watched it. I didn't feel like I was very apprehensive at first. I was kind of
Yeah.
like, and then shout out to my man Cricket. Cricket was like, "Hey man, it wasn't bad."
No, it wasn't a waste of time at all.
No,
No.
it was not waste of time at all. So,
Easy
um,
watch. You could blow right through it.
yep. And so that was our review for Marvel Zombies. Thanks for rocking with us. Check out some more, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.
Like and subscribe, fools.